I played before on controller, but I never used it on Fortnite, and there is an aim assist that I don't even know about. Once I switched to keyboard and mouse, I got curious about how overpowered was aim assist. Also, before we start, leave a comment down below if your keyboard or your controller. Let's get straight into the video.
Ah, the glory days of Fortnite. Late 2018 to early 2019. You load up YouTube and see a Ghost is a Solo Squad gameplay upload. Your thoughts are, oh my god, this guy is just too good, and you are amazed by the incredible depth of strategic plays that are made, followed by the incredible amount of eliminations. And this guy does this on controller? Is a thought running through your head. However, at this time, Izza had the exact same tools as one of our other lead protagonists, Unknown Army, when he could do this.
I'm feeling a little storm mode right now. I'm feeling a little aim assist in my bones.
So what happened? Well, to understand that, I have to explain Legacy Aim Assist. At the time, this was the only option available, so it was just called Aim Assist. If you pulled your crosshair over a target, there really wasn't much drag on the crosshair, it was pretty much just slowdown. For people unaware, slowdown is when your crosshair approaches a target, it lowers your sensitivity to allow for more control. Doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, for a long time, it wasn't. Until this guy came into the picture. Aiden. Aiden popularized a strategy called L2 spam, which utilized the aim assist in a way that I haven't mentioned yet. There wasn't really much of a drag on the crosshair, however when you clicked on the left trigger, or L2 on PlayStation controllers, there was a snap effect where the crosshair would pull towards the target. There was a few other shooters that had it in this, so this wasn't just a Fortnite specific aim assist. So generally the aim assist wasn't that strong when just hip firing or holding ADS, but as soon as you pressed the ADS button once, it had that snap feature. This meant that to hit big pump shots, all you had to do was basically roughly line your crosshair up with the opponent's head, press ADS and shoot, and if you had good crosshair placement before that, it was a max damage shot almost guaranteed. But guys like Aiden weren't just pressing it once. For SMG and AR, you could essentially just time the ADS with the shot to lock on every bullet. For long range shots, you could line the crosshair up while ADS, then unclick the trigger and re-click it, allowing the incredibly long range and accurate tags. Even at the time, I could do this with a Deagle. Now this was incredibly strong, but you've got to remember at this point we're in early 2019, pre-World Cup where the players' fighting skills were really far behind. Generally the mechanics of these controller players were not that good either. And despite the fact that there were a lot of controller players, since the general skill wasn't that great, there really wasn't that many people who could abuse it that well. Epic clearly knew that this wasn't good for the game, but didn't have a good way to nerf it. In patch 7.40, by the way the same patch that put Siphon and materials on Elim into pubs, they made an adjustment to the snap effect. This essentially put a cooldown on the L2 effect that meant that the second time you press the ADS you would lose all aim assist. This, quite frankly, was horrible. Not many players managed to actually play this as it was only live for a few hours before it was reverted. However, I remember playing this and the really horrible amount of inconsistency you had with your aim was unbelievable, and half the time you would leave ADS just to turn around, and then when you would ADS again you would have no aim assist. Basically this solution just didn't really work at all, and it was reverted a few hours later. The World Cup Week 3 was where a lot of these things started to change, as a legend was born. Unknown Army.
Sorry, I don't know who he is. Sorry guys.
Sun is in
Nah.
Seems strong. Unknown was a console player who has played wagers on wagers to be able to afford his PC, then he started performing extremely well in events. His fighting capabilities were so far ahead of the top players, in particular the top players on controller at the time. He had an average of 5 eliminations per game in his qualifying week for the World Cup, and the next highest was 3.44, so his slaying abilities were very apparent as soon as people started to recognize his name. There were only 7 controller players total who qualified for the World Cup solos out of the 100 players, and the highest placing in the finals was Lecce in 32nd. And in the duos, there was only 2 controller players who qualified, Aiden and Wolfies. And Wolfies did have an amazing finish, placing 2nd, but it's safe to say that there weren't too much hype about aim assist being really strong at this moment. No one really talked about aim assist in Season X because, well, mechs.
Getting mech! The mech's tarping in! He's tarping in!
But when Chapter 2 dropped, Unknown Army was streaming a lot. He was incredibly dominant in the solo cash cups, and his gameplay was mesmerizing to watch. It was a really interesting combination of incredible mechanical fighting skill with insane aim assist. There was a huge population of controller players out there, but no one dominated as much as Unknown up until this point. He didn't have the most traditional playstyle, but he did have some pretty revolutionary concepts.
Behind you, the wall behind you, the wall behind you. And people running my targets, I did 200 all of them.
He won 6 solo cash cups this season, and on top of that, he won squads FNCS. His name was high in the sky, and all eyes were on the shots that he was hitting. So, on the 25th of September 2019, in the version 10.4 update, there were some new sensitivity options implemented into the game. These are the current settings that you'll see in-game now, but a much more primitive version of them. Honestly, you needed a PhD to figure out what was going on and what the best settings were. Turning horizontal boost. An additional left-right rotation speed applied when the controller's look stick is fully deflected. Using boost allows for quicker turns when maintaining look precision, set to 0% to disable horizontal boost. Turning ramp boost time. The time it takes to reach the boost speed when the controller's full stick is fully deflected. A full setting of 0.0 will cause the boost instantly to kick in. Look dampening time. The time it takes to reach the expected look rotation speed after applying initial input to the controller's look stick. And also, your maximum build and edit sensitivity you could assign was now 5 times what your regular sense is. And I don't know why anyone would ever want this high of a sensitivity at all, but at least the options were there. It was great that there was a ton of new settings. Players could really customize what they were looking for. But anyway, moving on. So what does this actually mean? Basically, on all of the new settings, it was much more like a traditional aim assist. While the right stick is moving, the crosshair will slow down and drag with the opponent as he moves. This is how the majority of shooters' aim assist works, and as you may be able to guess, the strength of the pool is really critical. Too strong and it's completely busted. Too weak and underpowered, and a huge population of controller players playing the game will become extremely frustrated, meaning a huge drop in population. You can guess which one it was. By the end of Chapter 2 Season 1, Controller was incredibly strong, and many players had figured out that you could just get into someone's box, and a reasonably good player with even a small amount of tracking would be able to perfectly track someone. With the average player's skill increasing, and now a new noob-friendly aim assist added to the game became much more rampant with in-box players. I just want to make this time to note that I was a controller player at this time, and I still mainly am to this day, and even then I was saying how much of a problem this was. The legacy aim assist was incredibly broken, more so than the new linear and exponential settings. However, it was more broken in the hands of a top-level pro player and not so bad in the hands of an average player. Now, the average player had access to the insanely powerful aim assist. So much so that the top players like Epic Whale had even switched to controller and still continued his dominant run on the NA server. To add fuel to the fire, Chapter 2 Season 2 was often referred to as Controller Season, and for good reason. Mythic drum gun, mythic AR, mythic minigun, SMGs, lots of other miniguns, tons of scar spawns, and it was an absolute beam fest. In the distance, there was a glimmer of hope, a tweet from Fortnite status. With the improvements we've made to aim assist, we plan to remove the use legacy looks option on March 13th, which meant that you could no longer use the legacy settings, and everyone was forced to use the new settings instead. Chapter 2 Season 2 was a long season, but 2 months later the FNCS Invitational Finals had completed. In the NA East region, there was 5 controller players in the top 10 alone, and there was a point in the Week 2 finals that all top 13 players were on controller. Remember back to the World Cup where I said that the best placement was 32nd? Now obviously, these two aren't fully comparable, but this is a huge difference. The new settings helped spawn a new wave of players, not only from aim assist, but also from the fact that they could use much more mechanical skill than before, as the legacy settings were clunky and awful. The linear settings allowed players to have no aim acceleration for the first time, which impacted their ability to make small movements on the sticks negatively, but allowed them so much more freedom with their mechanical abilities. This was a welcome change, but at the same time, these settings for aim assist were absurdly strong. Epic were clearly aware with what was happening. The general player base was not happy with this, and a lot of the fights had become a lot less skillful. Later on in that season, they made another adjustment to aim assist. In version 12.50, this build includes an aim assist change, which makes the 240Hz aim assist act like 60Hz aim assist, which does not impact target acquisition. Investigations or tests are still going on regarding aim assist, and your feedback is appreciated. The pros on controller were livid, and it seemed like this could be the end for many of them. Never mind. Realistically, they changed absolutely nothing with this patch. Wolfies says it the best himself. Realistically, the nerf made shotgun aim worse, and my AR and SMG tracking is still fine. Just gonna be in your box with an SMG, and then he's wrong about re-adding legacy basically. Clearly, Epic weren't satisfied with the changes made in the 12.50 patch, however, and when Season 3 dropped, more changes were made to the PC aim assist, reportedly a 30% reduction in strength to the pool, noted by Lucas7 Yoshi. This made controller feel very balanced. Yes, it's still stronger in a box, but it's very viable. My opinion is I've always wanted controller to be viable, but keyboard mouse to be overall better. With this change, that's exactly what I feel happened, and really, that's where we are today. They haven't made any more confirmed changes to this since it was the start of Season 3, and I don't think they need to. The top controller players are still placing, and there are minimal complaints about it from other players.
Well, that is it, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you're a controller or keyboard mouse, and what's your opinion on it. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time, right?